What's cracking? Hing hing. You're listening to Eddie Sport Convos with Eddie and Mike. It's me, Mike. I'm here with my guy.
I'm Eddie. How are you?
I'm good. I know you was talking to them, but I'm doing pretty swell myself right now.
Switch it up, pause.
I wasn't doing as swell yesterday though, so I was about to talk to you about this before the show, but I'll, people might want to hear the interested in it, and it is DC. It's definitely DC sports related. Um, Yesterday morning, I saw a tweet from my man Craig Hoffman, and he was like, "It's his last show at the team when 980," and I was like, "What?" Because if y'all listen to the show or hear me talk about sports, y'all know Craig Hoffman is my dude. Like I'm always referencing him. I'm always listening to the show. I reference Take Command all the time. He was doing that with Craig Hoffman. But yeah, abruptly he just announced that he was going to stop all that, and I'm like, this is it. You could tell that he was about to do something, but it was like, man, what the heck is going on? Like, why is he stopping it? Because it's not like the show was doing bad or anything. Like, I feel like he was one of the best media personalities in DC. So he didn't want to start the show and like bury the lead, like he said. He didn't want to, hold the news in for too long. So he opened the show, and this man says he's joining the Wizards and Mystics front office as the senior director of basketball identity and integration for Monumental Basketball.
It's an interesting title.
What?
It's
What?
like really long. Like his whole door is going to be covered with letters. That's such a long title.
But Eddie, I promise you,
The door to his office, that is.
senior director of basketball identity and integration. Let me tell y'all something.
It's like 3 lines.
One Bama in the entire city that I would have hired for that job is probably Craig Hoffman. And I know usually like TV personalities or sports personalities going to a front office, usually it backfires or it doesn't work as well. Even for experienced or established veterans in that particular sport, when they leave TV or media to go back to sports or whatever, it doesn't work out well. I'm trying to think of some names. I can't think of none off the top of my head, but it happens. John Gruden is one of them. He left Monday night or media or whatever, went to the Raiders. Now his his stuff may not have been football related, but it still was a failure or whatever. I don't think Craig Hoffman is going to fill in this role because there's nowhere to go with it up. I mentioned this. I think I mentioned it on Facebook. But when it comes to relevancy in the NBA, the Wizards are no more relevant than the Tennessee Titans. Like, and that it's not even a major diss to the Titans. It's just reality. And I feel like a team from DC shouldn't be that irrelevant in their respective league. They should be one of the faces, one of the top faces, regardless of how they're producing. Especially in a city like DC that's basketball heavy, but the pro team just ain't it. So the fact that he's going into the front office now to help with their identity, their literal identity, you pair that with what they've been doing so far on the court with Will Dawkins as general manager. And I do feel a bit optimistic about the Wizards than I did before Craig Hoffman announced that he was joining their front office. But I know that was a lot, but I really felt like I had to open the show with that because he's been definitely an inspiration for me. I know he might be a year or two younger than me or whatever, but I honestly don't matter because when it comes to journalistic integrity, professionalism, things like that, he was one of the GOAT setters in my opinion. Even though he's only here for 10 years, I'll put him on the level of a George Michael, Chick Hernandez. I can't think of who my fourth person would be, but Yeah, he's up there with them as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, I just had to mention that on my show because, like, like I said, he's an inspiration. He was good at what he did, and I expect the same thing to happen with Monumental.
So does that? Yeah, there's nowhere to go but up. I definitely agree with that. Hey, if I'll ride with you on that, I recognize the name. I'm much more of a 1067. That's more my lane. So, but does that title like that sounds like something they created for him? Is that or is that like a title?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, he admitted that on the
okay,
station. Like, he talked to Michael Winger, and I don't know if y'all know Michael Winger is like the president of Monumental, not just the Wizards, but like the
yeah, I've
head
heard
of
that.
Monumental basketball operations. Will Dawkins is under him, but yeah, he said he met with Michael Winger, and it was something that they've been discussing and talking about, and yeah, a lot of people. A lot of people are like, do he know somebody in the front office, or is he like in cahoots or whatever? And I'm like, nah. I think the Wizards, well, Monumental, not just the Wizards. I think the organization was like, we need help with our PR. We need help with our Q rating. We need help with branding ourselves. And who better to do it than a radio personality that's not from DC, by the way, but has shown an interest in not only DC sports but women's sports, and um, he's great with communicating with people. And he, like I said, he was running 2 successful sports shows or um, productions in the city. Like Take Command was crushing other podcasts in the city as far as Commanders talk goes. So like he knows what he's doing, and like the fact that Michael Winger and the rest of the Monumental executives felt like that he was the perfect person to help push their identity. I'm like, damn, when you think about it, that's a perfect job for him. And like I said, I wish, like I'm not even going to say I wish him the best. I feel like um, he will do okay. And I sent him a message earlier today and told him like I don't know if this is going to lead to a 50-win season or not, but um, yeah, it is what it is. Like I don't I don't expect on the court success to just get better just because somebody that I admire is running the PR now or the relations now. But like I said, it's a good thing. Like I tweeted about, is not a person that I would pick to lead that team for that role more than him right now.
Hey, shout out to Craig Hoffman. Good for him. And shout like I think I've always tried to convey this point to some degree, regardless of sport. One thing that I will always appreciate, obviously, if, even if the outcome isn't good, you want the outcome to be good. But even if it's not, if you just take a chance, that doesn't mean like go crazy. I'm not encouraging any of that. And you're more than right. Large emphasis on the word help. The Wizards need help in a boatload of categories. But having said that, if our owners, our whole group, if they're like, hey, we need help, let's try this, that's where I'm gonna always be all in at
Yeah,
you trying to solve the problem. Right? It's just like in education. It's like, hey, look, yeah, you want the grades to be good, but like as long as you're trying, we got to, was GI Joe half the battle, right? No one's half the battle. So like that's where we're at. Same thing. So shout out to Craig Hoffman. Good for him. Um,
yeah. He responded to my
wait,
message.
I
Oh my
await.
bad. You were saying
What,
something?
no, I was just saying I wait to see what sort of PR success we have. And if not, we are all going to blame Mike Pyatt. He's the one that said this. He's the one that said this would work out. So his address will be put out there a little later on. So keep listening. Thank you.
That's hilarious. He responded to my message that I sent to him earlier. Just said, "Thank you, bro. I really think we have some brilliant people that he's going to work with. Will and Michael, I mentioned them earlier. Will Dawkins, Michael Ringer are real ones." He said, "Bear with us because we truly are trying to build it right." And yeah, he just said he appreciated me for listening and the kind words I gave him, and told me that the passion that because I told him like he helped keep my passion for sports and journalism going, because like around the time he came was around the time that I graduated from school, but I had graduated with my IT degree. I was trying to not leaving journalism behind, but it wasn't my career. It was something I went to school for, but never got the degree for. And when around the time he came was around the time I graduated. So to see like another journalist, like basically being the type of journalist that I probably would have been, like a people's person, but informative, intellectual, um, but really like compassionate and caring and stuff like that, and quirky and all that stuff. Like he really was one of them ones for real. And it's going to suck losing them in the DC media, but the fact that he went to one of my teams is like, that's pretty good. And I always felt like he was going to leave and go to like ESPN or one of the major, like all the DC sports personalities were doing at one point. Remember, ESPN had like Sage Still, Scott Van Pelt, um, Hannah Storm, just a whole bunch of like people that was either from DC or worked in DC. So I felt like that was his trajectory, but he kind of went beyond that. And like I said, I ain't mean to talk about the Bama for 12 minutes, but like I said, it's DC sports related. That's what I was telling y'all. It was really DC sports related. It doesn't get more DC than a DC resident's favorite DC media personality leaving the DC media to work with the DC basketball teams.
Yeah,
Like,
lots of local ties, and then I understand that this doesn't translate to on the court success, but just as a whole, like there's almost like a direct connection, not just because of representing the same city, but between them and the Commanders, and just like having success like be so long ago, just the sleeping giant. You just got to figure, man, if we can ever get some things right, and hopefully like in a roundabout way, this is more taking care of the front office part, but hopefully as that part gets right, it does kind of translate to on the court, because like I said, we're a sleeping giant, man. Like I mean, could you just imagine, like, we got Jaden Daniels, if somehow, I mean, it would have to be like the guys we got now getting good, and then us having success in the next draft as well. But if we could start just competing and maybe making the playoffs, just play in something small, and then building, and we do that during the Daniels era in DC as well, provided he stays healthy. Lots of ifs, but can you imagine you go from football potentially watching Jaden win us, fingers crossed, knock on wood, championships and or compete for them, and then now we go, oh yeah, hey, now we're watching the Wiz, and they're a fun game to watch. They compete, they play hard, they got a good team, we're winning games. Like, how amazing would that be?
I joked about stealing this topic. I wasn't joking about stealing it. I was serious about stealing it. I also was serious about not giving them credit, but I was kind of joking about that. But
Hell no.
my man Chris from Vegas, he posted a question, hypothetically speaking, of course. What would you do if all your major sports teams won the championship in one calendar year? And I think this is the day before the announcements was made. I told him I can't even picture the Wizards winning a championship, so I can't answer his question. They haven't won 50 games since 1979. So how the heck am I supposed to imagine them winning the championship? I saw the Caps win the championship, I saw the Nationals win the championship. We all know about the Redskins' 3 Super Bowls. Wizards, they ain't do nothing since, what, 12 years before the last time the Redskins won the Super Bowl? And that was almost 30 or over 30 years ago now. So, yeah, I couldn't picture it. And now, like, they're on the up and up, it feels like. And this move, again, while not strong, while not, it may not pay immediate dividends on the court. I do feel like at least now the team is in good hands when it comes to PR specialists, media, and just overall information and a strategy for making the Wizards great again, or period.
Hey.
And I do think they'll work with the Commanders from time to time because that's something that the two teams have already started doing before. I really feel like Snyder being there um, hampered their connection, but I feel like it's stronger now than it's been since I've been a fan, and will get stronger now that someone like Craig Hoffman is there who knows a bunch of people in the Washington front office because of his previous job. And speaking of the Commanders, let's go ahead and move to the next topic. They had an inter-squad practice this week. I think it was yesterday. No, Tuesday. Had an inter-squad practice on Tuesday. Team Burgundy versus Team Gold. I think Team Burgundy was coached by Cliff Kingsbury, and Team Gold was coached by Joe Witt Jr. And the Gold team won, apparently. It was 14-0. Just to paint a picture for y'all real quick, the scenarios were both the game started in the second quarter and the end of the fourth quarter, and they were basically just put in scenarios to move the ball or stop the ball or whatever, and one team performed better than the other team. And the theme coming out of that yesterday, well, no, I'll say this. Towards the end of the practice, things started to get a bit chippy, and they had to end it not early, but they ended it so things wouldn't get worse than it was looking like it was heading. I think Noah Igbinoghene was getting heated with somebody on the sidelines, and they were just like, all right, we got enough working for the day, let's call it. But I do like it. I loved it when they announced it, and I was like, man, I wish I could see it in person or see it on TV or something, because the concept is cool. It's stuff that they do in college all the time with the spring trainer game or whatever. The spring game. I said spring trainer game with the spring game. So I was happy to see it. But like I said, the defense really brought it. Apparently, just absolutely locked the offense up, both the first stringers and the second stringers, and that's my takeaway from it, man. Like, the defense continues to show that they're progressing upwards. The arrow is pointing up, even though they allowed 48 points to the Patriots on Friday. I feel like a lot of that was special teams related. And apparently the Patriots schemed for that game. Like, they game plan for that game. And I'm like, you don't really typically game plan for preseason. So I kind of see why the score was so lopsided, because not only were their starters going against our backups, but they actually game plan for this. But
I mean, I was bummed we lost that game, but dude, I was saying it the whole time, like when we were like talking and whatever else, like while we were doing the podcast, I was like, dude, it's preseason. Like, yeah, I'm not stressing that. But as far as that, you hit the nail right on the head. I was gonna say it. It kind of gives you that college vibe, the red team versus the white team, or whatever the particular school's colors are. And you kind of get those game simulations. The thing what I was gathering from it, and you kind of have a little bit more of like the actual practice details. I'm kind of more going off of like intentions, things of that nature, where Dan Quinn, excuse me, I'm sorry, where Dan Quinn was talking about it on the radio on 106.7, that is. And he was kind of saying how this is something they kind of built up all week, almost like like if I don't know if this happened at your school when you were a kid, but if the sixth graders get to play the teachers in a basketball game, and like the build up to the week in that, when that's going to happen on that Friday kind of thing. This was similar where guys are talking trash to each other. There's kind of this like, oh, well, hey, defense team, we're team gold over here, and then you got, your offense trying to kind of combat that. And I just, the sort of intensity and kind of like almost tricking everybody into practicing harder just with like a sort of different scenario, simulation, or even just title. I just think that part's pretty good. Coaching on Dan Quinn's part, if you think about it, like it's sort of it's simple, but it gets the guys fired up. It gives the guys like something to kind of focus on, look forward to. There's a level of excitement. But then again, like I said, you've kind of like tricked them into practicing hard. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But like, and the guys liked it. And we'll talk more about this particular gentleman in a little bit. There's a certain someone who made it a point to be there. Now I know he's been at camp doing a hold in most of camp, but there was sort of, at least the reports that I was hearing from sources, was that like Terry was like there kind of like, he obviously wasn't practicing, but he was as close as he could be without practicing. Like he sort of
No,
wanted to be a part of this. He enjoyed it. Like I said, it just, there's
let,
something about that.
let's stay with McLaurin for a second. Go ahead.
All right. All I was gonna say is to make things quick, so I don't ramble on like I normally do. Think about Remember the Titans, right? When they're at camp and they're kind of all yelling at each other, but they're practicing hard. And then finally they kind of start to like figure it out. Like they're still going to like whoop each other's ass in practice, but it's going to be more from a like, hey, let's get better instead of like let's fight. And I think this kind of stuff does that. Not that our team is fighting with each other necessarily, but just that idea, that coming together, that working harder, the tricking of, mentally just like, hey, every day you're going to have to work. And that iron sharpens iron mentality. I feel like that's what's happening, dude. And like, yeah, there is a high level of excitement going on over here.
All right. I thought you were talking about McLaurin and then you started talking about fighter. But let's stick with the fighter for a second, though.
Yeah.
It does happen a lot when that competitive spirit starts
Oh,
to
yeah.
leak out a little bit and
Oh, yeah.
things start to get a bit heated. And not
Oh,
necessarily
yeah.
personal, but it can get personal really quick. And I think that's what was happening with Noah Igbinoghene, because the first, I don't know if y'all noticed, when I say that man's name, I rush through that joint. I'd be like, as long as y'all catch some of the syllables, y'all know who I'm talking. But he hit somebody, like he pushed somebody out of bounds late, and Wagner and Luvu kind of like, who I guess was on the gold team, they walked up to him like, hey, I know we won against each other, but we still on the same team. And he wasn't trying to hear all that at the moment. And the reason he wasn't trying to hear all that was because earlier in the practice, Sanders still rocked somebody, and nobody like said anything to him, and he actually like rocked the person, but nobody like checked up on it. So I guess Noah Igbinoghene was off some like, nah, I ain't trying to hear all that. Like, no, I just pushed the dude. Y'all ain't say nothing when Sanders still rocked the dude. So like, get out my face with all that. And I think that's around the time practice ended. But yeah, it gets chippy when you do those joint practices or inter squad games because of the competitive juices. They just start flowing. Of course, the pros is, like you said, they not necessarily trick, but not even manipulated. Like the setting has just changed. It's a competition instead of a training at that point. And even though you're training during this competition, the competition is still the competition. Like a man, you went at it or something, we'll probably start going at it too. Like, nah, whoop your ass. And, what? Oh, and then next thing you know, the competition level has risen because our emotional attachment to the competition has deepened. And
Yeah,
then afterward, we'll probably be like, yeah, that was a good game, bro. We got to do it again, whatever. But in the moment, the pros is that it's going to get really intense and you can learn a thing or two. And the cons is that it could get too intense and you'll learn a thing or two.
well, it's sort of like speeding on the highway, right? I mean, you get these large individuals, and then sometimes not so large, but still large enough, and aggressive, and everybody's padded up, and people are trying to earn a job. Some people are trying to keep a job. You got a lot of those things going on, and then most of the time it's hot as balls outside. So you got all that going on. All it takes is for one guy to feel like another guy kind of, maybe went hard when he shouldn't have gone hard, pause, and then, whatever. And then those things kind of start to happen. The thing that I think sometimes it almost in a roundabout way can be encouraged, almost the way like fights in middle school and high school are instigated, right? Somebody just pushes somebody into somebody. I think sometimes in a roundabout way, they're encouraged just to like almost like on some hockey stuff where like win or lose, the fact that a fight happened, everybody's tapping their sticks for the guy that fought. You know what I mean? Just kind of give him a cheer. Like, it's something that gets everybody going on some kind of level. Um, what I would say is it would have to be like kind of an understandable fight with a resolution and an outcome. Now sometimes you got two guys that don't like each other, and it could divide your locker room if somebody's going at somebody every practice and really like, and it gets bad. Now, what I will say is that whole remember the Titans thing I was talking about. If you're doing, like we practiced with New England, and I don't know if this happened with New England. I know it happened the first time around way back when they came here. What was that, like 2010 or something like that? 2013. It was whenever D'Angelo Hall ruptured his Achilles. When he was guarding
I
D'Angelo
think
Hall.
that was 14.
14? Okay. I'm not the best
Yeah,
with
I
but
think that was Gruden's first year.
I think they fought that year, but I don't think this time around. I think we might have gotten into it with the Ravens last year.
I
But
mean, nothing was bad as the fights with the Texans and the Jets. I think the Texans were 2013. I mean, I'm sorry, 2014, and the Jets were like 2019. I think. Yeah, it was 2019 because that's the year. No, it was 2018. I'm sorry, that was the year the Redskins started like 6-3, and that's when Alex Smith got injured. That year, the training camp fight was with the Jets. Because I remember Terrell Pryor, who used to be on the team, had went to the Jets. And I don't know if you remember,
Swearinger,
Swearinger was
like
saying,
bucks at him.
yeah, he was like, he told him, you don't get, he said, we have no respect for you. And one-on-one battles, you don't get cornerbacks. You get you get safeties. And we going to lock you up. You don't get to go against the corners. We don't respect you. So he was yelling all that. And the safeties actually were like locking them up. And when after each rep, they'll go over and celebrate over the other. And like you said, one of the last reps, Swearinger was over there celebrating or whatever. And then he like bucked that Pryor. He bucked that Pryor, and he flinched, and everybody just was like, you flinched. And I was like, I bet he did. It was three people yelling at him, man.
Yeah.
Somebody bucked at him. Like, you're supposed to just let him get hit. But I
All I was
digress.
getting at was that whole like remember the Titans thing typically tends to happen more so when it's a fight between two teams who are scrimmaging together versus like when it's within the team. Now, overall, I think it's good. Like I said, it gets guys fired up. Sometimes it can wake up those competitive juices for some people who are kind of loafing it or maybe need an extra, whatever just to get them going. I don't know why you'd need that, making millions of dollars. But anyway, um, yeah, I think you always worry about like getting hurt or like I said, people holding grudges to some kind of degree and dividing up the locker room. But uh it's just I think it's just something that's always gonna happen though too, no matter what. You got guys running into each other. Literally, it's a car wreck, especially like when we're talking the big guys. Now, again, I do want to talk about this just because I understand the attitudes that certain positions carry and whatever. And you made it, talk about things getting chippy, defense versus offense. You mess around, you kind of do something that could piss your team off. I think it's that rookie that was holding out with Cincinnati. He hit Joe Burrow late in practice, and that you can imagine what happened next. And one of the old linemen, he was like, "Look, he's like, I love his attitude, I love his effort. I really think he's going to help our defense, which needs a lot of help." He was like, "But he didn't say that's the franchise, but what did he say? That's our hopes and dreams right there." He's like, "You can't do that. You gotta be smarter." And I thought that was pretty much
I had no idea. The rookie you're talking about is Shamar Stewart.
Yep.
I just remember his name because I've been talking about it all summer.
Now, here's my
Um,
issue.
I had no idea that he hit. I gotta see this real quick. Go ahead.
There, I didn't see that he hit him, but I saw that it's just a pile of bodies. Everybody just probably went nuts going after him, and rightfully so. But it was his response. He was like, "Oh, everybody just there's a lot of love there. They just wanted some extra hugs. That's all it was, And he's trying to be funny, but he kind of had this attitude, like maybe I'm reading it totally wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. No problem. Kind of seemed like he was like, "Yeah, I hit him, so what? Who the fuck cares?" And normally, I'm fine with that attitude, but I also agree exactly with what I can't remember the gentleman's name, but the veteran lineman that they interviewed right after, he's like, "Hey, be smarter like that." When Burrow's not playing, team's a little different.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I just saw the play that led to the scuffle. The crazy part is I haven't found the scuffle yet. But
It just was everybody grabbed
yeah,
the
he didn't
other.
necessarily tackle him or wasn't he didn't hit him. What happened was he definitely would have gotten flagged for going low on the quarterback, and that's the problem. When he was pushed or when he went through the line, he was still low, and he was going towards Barrow's legs. And again, that's a penalty during the game, let alone training camp. And let's face it, Barrow has had multiple injuries with his ligaments.
Yeah,
So just an accident can cost the season.
totally
So
agree.
yeah, and I would have the same reaction if Johnny Newton was to do that to Jaden Daniels.
But, hey,
And I
Mo.
love Newton. I love Newton, but I'm like, what the hell, bro?
Hey,
Uh-uh.
Slim.
So
What you
yeah,
doing?
I get it. Um, honestly, y'all heard enough about McLaurin from other people and from us last week. It ain't no update. He still ain't signed yet. Let's move to the next topic.
I will
Commanders
say,
running back room. Oh, what? Go ahead.
all I was gonna say is like, just as like a quick blurb, they kind of talked about this on the radio today. It We're getting like kind of like a little full picture of our boy Peters. Like he's getting all that
I
praise.
told y'all that last week.
I'm not I'm not bashing him, but he's getting all that praise for everything we did, everything he did, excuse me, the first year, and rightfully so. But now you're starting to see like his negotiating tactics, and so take it for what it
Listen,
is. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm not saying it like I disagree. I would like for them to give a little and Terry to give a little, but I also am not in charge of that kind of stuff for
it's
reasons.
I'm not going to pick. Well, I guess I am going to pick a side. I'm picking the side of my team. Like I love McLaurin like forever, but just like Santa Moss and Art Monk and Henry Ellert and Ken Harvey and every other past legend, they're not going to be here forever. And nowadays, the free agency, they move even more than they usually do. So I care more about long-term future. And if that agent thought that he was going to come in and punk Washington, he would have been able to punk me. I ain't going to lie, because I definitely admitted I probably would have went as high as 38 at one point. However, that was before I knew that Cortland Sutton was going to only get 23 million. If I knew that, I would have been like, no, you're not going to get 38. You're not even going to get 30. We can settle at 28 or 29. The franchise tag is 28 million next year. So regardless if you sign or not, we'll tag you for 28 million. That's still less than the 32 that you're looking for, but we'll still have control over you. And I just feel like I said, is whoever led the charge on this negotiation, they ate. Like they really cooked Terry McLaurin's agent, and it's kind of their fault a little, because if they did have a little foresight, they wouldn't have accepted the third year in the extension. They would have tried to have a out after the second season, which would have been last year. And again, they didn't know that they were going to get Jaden Daniels and he was going to break the franchise record or whatever. But the way he had been playing, you could have projected that. And instead of him being having this one additional year, he would have been a free agent last season or this upcoming season. And they would have had to negotiate a contract with him. And then he probably wouldn't have been able to get the $30 million last year. But I don't know. It is what it is. And he's not going to sit out the season. It's basically career suicide if he sat the season out, because he's already 29 going on 30, and he would be losing not only like $1 million per game, but if he sits out the season, he still be under contract for Washington next year, and nobody really is going to trade for him because he's even older than he is now. And that's another point about the whole contract. If he was 28 instead of 30 or 29, they probably would have been like, all right, we'll give you 30 million a year. But the fact of the matter is like I said last show, or maybe it's the show before last, do you think he's going to be Santana Moss after he turned 31 or Steve Smith Sr.? And more often than not, receivers after 31, they look more like Moss than they do Steve Smith. So it sucks because I really want him here, and I do think eventually a deal will get signed. But like, I'm definitely not as optimistic as I was 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna tell you that for sure.
Yeah, I think we all feel that way. That last part, the optimism. Damn Pittsburgh, messing everything up. I tell you.
So, Commanders running back room, and I'm gonna just read the blurb that has the city on fire right now when it comes to Commanders running backs. Ben Standig on his podcast, the Last Man Standing podcast. I think Nikki Javala, formerly of the Washington Post, now of the Athletic, she joined them, which is crazy. He used to be the Commanders reporter for the Athletic, but now he does his own thing or whatever. But anyway, he said, I'm going to guess Brian Robinson is not on the week 1 roster. I have no insight into that. If Krosky merits on this team, I just don't know how you're sitting him. And everybody took that as him saying, like, Brian Robinson is going to get cut. And I'm like, Young, he literally said that he has no insight. Like, it felt like he's like he was a heat check with this take. And I'm like, I don't think so, bro. And like I was telling you earlier, Eddie, they're not going to release a productive or trade a productive running back, especially when the 3 running backs behind them are 2 aging vets and a rookie that didn't even play college football last year. I don't think they're going to risk getting rid of a productive running back with those pieces behind him. Now, next year, when he's a free agent, no, I don't expect him to re-sign Brian Robinson. I expect him to go to another team. Maybe he'll go down south to the Atlanta Dirty Birds, and it could be B. Robinson and B. Robinson, and they could have a grand time together. But I don't foresee him being on the team next year. As far as this year, man, he's leading the team in rushing. Like, we can hope that Bill Krosky-Merritt will become RB1 immediately, but they're chasing the Super Bowl, and I don't think they're going to start a rookie running back as much, especially early in the season. So B-Rob is going to get a bulk of the carries, and I think he's going to prove himself decent with those carries. I give him a lot of flack, but he'll produce. He might not hit home runs, but he'll be on base a lot.
All right. Well, I'm just looking at the room as of right now, and I'm looking at keeping in mind, some people don't know this. Brian Robinson was shot his rookie year. Pause for a minute for those who didn't know it. I'm kidding, obviously, because it was talked about nonstop. So once he came back, I think his average was somewhere like 3.5 yards a carry. I think he's got it up as high as 3.9 or maybe 4 at the moment. The things that, and this goes with what Ben Standing on his Last Man Standing podcast is the one who said all this with his sort of no sources, no insight, but I'm just saying this. He's probably looking at the fact that his yards per carry only went up just a little bit. You've got guys like I think Rodriguez still on the roster, McNichols still on the roster. You drafted Krosky-Merritt, who I'm not saying he looked bad. I thought he looked good too, but I think people are just are now like with Daniels and everything that's happened. Now they want to like every draft pick and everything to like get excited about. And that's fine. But you have Krosky-Merritt. You've also got I think, is it Demetrius Felton? It's something Felton. He used to play for the Browns. He's on the squad as well. And when I look at, Eckler, granted the age and the injuries, with the concussions are definitely cause for concern. But he also fills the returner and receiver out of the backfield role. I understand the kid from Virginia Tech could be our return guy, no problem, or Crowder if we keep him. But then I also look at guys like McNichols and Rodriguez who could do what B-Rob does by committee, because he also gets hurt a lot. Like he doesn't last the whole year because
That's true.
He's a banger, but and I'm not saying he's the dude small. Trust me, no disrespect to B-Rob, but like he's not big enough for the way he plays. If that makes sense. I like him. If he balls out this season, which that only can mean that we're doing good because he runs more, we're winning, we're trying to run the clock out. I'm all for all of those things to happen. Then I will absolutely shut the bleep up. But that's just I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying I want B-Rob cut. I'm not saying Ben Standing is correct. I'm saying those are probably some of the things that he was, at least from the angle, if I had to guess, it was something along those lines. Because understand, we're going to be doing a lot of things we're not used to, sensible football and all. We'll be getting rid of guys before they get too old and can't help us. I'm just saying, the new normal.
And yeah, I agree with most of everything you said. I still don't think they're going, and I think you agree too. Like they're not going to just let them go.
We're in a world of clickbait and hot takes and all those things, and I like Ben Standing. He goes on 106.7 a lot.
Yeah, that's my guy.
So no disrespect there, but like that's the world he lives in too. You want to kind of be the first one, hey, I said it first, and I get all that, and hey, who knows? Maybe he is right, but I I think that's something that maybe like the following year, next year, maybe that could be more of a possibility, just because of age and wear and tear. But there's a lot of other things that have to happen for that to be a possibility. So we're just going to wait and see. You know, that's what we're going to
So,
do.
last topic for the show, and it's previewing Monday's night's preseason game versus the Bengals. And one thing that I knew about the Bengals, this training camp, is that they are playing their starters in these preseason games. They said that before the game started, and they definitely proved it. I think in week 1 versus Philly, they played like 2 or 3 series, Barrow and them, and they look good. They still look good, man. So I'm for resting starters most of the time. With happening what Washington is doing right now, I'm perfectly fine with that. They're not playing Daniels. They have no plans of playing Daniels this preseason. They might change their mind, especially since the joint practice with the Ravens has been postponed or canceled. Because of logistics with the Ravens travel and whatnot. I think they're actually playing the Eagles right now. Eddie can confirm that for me. But yeah, we're not playing joint practice with the Ravens, so maybe the starters might get some burn. But I don't want our starters to play. I feel like even if they start slow, playing in the preseason won't fix or change that. Meanwhile, the Bengals, they have started off slow the last few seasons, and their coach is like, nah, there are no there are no breaks heading into the season. We're going straight gas. We're practicing every day. We're making sure we're going to start off fast. And I think for Washington, it's going to benefit them. I said on Commanders the Classified when we recorded it Tuesday night. Le asked me, "What do I expect, or what do I want to see in the game?" And I said, "I want our defense to get absolutely destroyed on Monday night. I hope Barrow look like Barrow and Chase looks like Chase. I want our defense to get absolutely cooked. And the reason I say that is because if it happens, we'll have a week to fix it. We'll have a week to get it prepared, or 2 weeks, before the season starts. So, yeah, that's how I'm feeling, man. When it comes to resting the starters, I'm with it. But when you get a chance to go against a team like the Bengals, I say bring it on, and it's a good test heading into the season because I don't think you're going to face a high power offense like that. Well, I guess you could say the Packers are close to it, so you are going to get a test right out the gate in week 2. But outside of that, the next test won't be until the end of October when you're facing Mahomes probably, and I feel like going against Barrow in a preseason setting is probably the best practice you could possibly get. So if we get destroyed on Monday night by the Bengals offense, I'll call it a win. If they still are looking like some hot cheeks on special teams, that'll be concerning. That's not a win. And I'm starting to look at the special teams coach kind of funny if that happens. Not saying that I want him fired. I'm just saying, like, Izzo, come on, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. The Eagles, I mean, excuse me. Oh, wait. We were supposed to, it was the Ravens, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ravens, Eagles, right?
The Ravens play the Cowboys on Saturday. So I
Oh,
think it's one of those things where they didn't want to practice and then short rest week and have to play. Um, which to
mm-mm.
some degree I can understand. I just it's such a weird like you're kind of walking a tightrope in a way because on one hand I understand the sort of Peyton Manning school of thought, where reps are key, and for a position like quarterback, definitely agree. Um, I don't know about other positions, but I would assume you could definitely make the same argument. But then I also understand you don't want guys just running into each other over and over and over again and getting all banged up before the game. But then I also think there's that whole rust factor where you kind of got to go through a lot of those lumps and learn how to like recover better and, kind of like almost mold your body, trick your body into like healing faster, being tougher, or something like that. But then again, I don't know when is the right time to push that button or when it's not because you don't want to get guys hurt. But like in the end, I'm never gonna like be mad that starters are rested during preseason. Never. Totally
That's my bad.
thought.
I'm sorry, bro.
Totally
That's
get.
my bad on the Eagles Ravens joint practice. Somehow I must have misread it. I thought it said that Landon Johnson was going against Mike Green in practice, which is the Ravens rookie defensive end. But I guess it was Landon Johnson and Myles Garrett.
You mean Lane Johnson?
Who?
Lane?
I mean Lane. I said Landon Johnson. Is that a baseball player or a hockey player or something?
There was a Landon Collins who used to play for us, but
Nah.
I don't know about a Landon.
No, I'm thinking about Landon Donovan.
Landon
Idiot.
Donovan, Team USA.
Yeah, the soccer player. I'm stupid. But anyway, Lane Johnson, I'm sorry, was going against Myles Garrett. So maybe it's my dyslexia, bro. Like I'm messing everybody's names up. But I digress. Yeah, like it's going to be interesting. I'm ready for it. It sucks we gotta wait until Monday and we won't get any weekend preseason games. But the good news is that we won't have to wait too long for the season finale. We'll be playing the Ravens on Saturday at noon. That's really weird. And it's my wife's birthday, and I got a couple events that day, including our draft is later that night, bro. So it'll be a busy August 23rd and the DMV, to say the least. But
Can't wait. That's what I was gonna say. The draft, bro. The draft.
I'm wrapping up a draft now that we started on Sunday. I had the third pick. I got my man Bijan or Bajan. I'm sorry, it's he. That's announced. It's not Bijan. It's Bajan. So shout out to my man Bajan Robinson. I got Josh Jacobs in the second round. Shout out to the Go Pack Go. I'm trying to think who I got third. Oh, T. Higgins in the third round. So if you want T. Higgins, you're gonna have to get him before the second or third, bro. Gotta be there in the third, and I'm picking. I'm gonna snatch him up again. Pause. I think the fourth pick was who's my I got Zay Flowers, I think was the next pick I had. But yeah, I like that strategy of going heavy on the running backs early and get some receivers. And I'd like to get a tight end in the fifth round. I was able to pick up TJ Hawkinson. So yeah, it was a pretty solid team, I think. And we all think our teams are solid when the draft is over. At least I hope y'all do. Like if the draft ends and you don't like your team, what were you doing the whole time? That's all I gotta say. Yeah. But I'm sorry for the spontaneous fantasy rant, but we're excited. I'm gonna cook Eddie again like I always do.
So many notes. I guarantee you. When we go to the draft, Johnny's gonna be like, I know what Mike's gonna do.
Like an idiot.
That's I'm telling you, he'll
Johnny. Our fantasy league got
exactly what you get because you're holding out on making your decision on where to draft from in the first place. We talked about this last podcast. He still hasn't made his decision.
He still ain't picked yet.
No, and he's doing it on purpose because he thinks he's like the master of deception or something. So
I promise you, nobody cares, bro.
I care.
Listen. I don't even do fantasy research no more. Like I'm just like, just give me the board, and I'm gonna pick how the board picks. Like I thought the first two picks should have been Barkley and Bijan. So the fact that Chase went one, I'm like, damn, am I ever going to be able to get Jamar Chase in a fantasy league? No.
Most people tend to just sort of look at like the stock, like the generic top 10, top 15 lists.
Mm-hmm.
To go by that. And I'm not going to say that I don't sort of use it as like a guideline, but then there are certain people like if somebody drops like last year, I had like a good thought about taking Saquon over Bijan Robinson, but I just kept thinking like, well, dude gets hurt a lot. I didn't know. Didn't
And
know
I'm sitting there at the table like, what are these mountains
that's,
doing?
like to be honest, everything I just said is fantasy football in a nutshell. That's it right there.
I'm at the table. I'm researching like a mug. I'm like, did Barkley get injured already? Like, why? Nobody's taking him. Like, nobody was taking him. And I got the 8th pick. And I'm like, what the heck is going on?
To be honest, I think Brian's brother, and then I can't remember who else. A couple times he was taken really high, maybe a little higher than he should have. And he got
So
hurt.
the entire league was scarred.
It's one of them things where we pay attention, we
Goodness
watch.
gracious. Hey,
Well,
guys.
it's hard to believe sometimes, Mike, that like somebody is gonna like recover from all that.
No, I get it.
You got Hurts running the ball all the time, QB sneaking. I squat 700, 900 pounds or whatever he does. And then they also got other mouths to feed with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and then even the tight end Goddard. So I didn't know. Trust me, man. There are many different draft picks I wish I could go back and change, but that's definitely one of them too. You know,
I still ain't win the title. That's crazy. I don't even think. I think this is my 4th year now, and I think I missed the playoffs once, and only 4 teams make the playoffs. So
it's only
your boy be
though.
Your boy be cooking. Your boy be cooking. Especially when I learned how to when I learned the defensive rules and how to generate points for boy. So these mamas ain't got a chance no more. I'm winning it all this year. You hear that, Johnny? You hear that, Brian? What? Eddie? What? I'm taking it.
No.
MLP. I'm taking it.
I'm going to have a resurgence just like Washington. Well, not just like Washington, but similar, but even more so. I'm doing the hand through the roof.
Goodness. What the heck? Yeah, let's end it off of that. Gonna holler at y'all Alabama's next week. Peace out.
Happy retirement, Brandon Sheriff. Thank you for everything you did in Washington. Enjoy
the original Redskins.
Yep. It was fun for just a little bit with him and Trent on the left side. It wasn't for very long, but hey, that's life, right? For a good time, not a long time.
It's not fair to him, but when I think about him, I think when Jay Gruden was like, he said, "Yeah, we could have did something with our 1st round pick, but we ended up drafting a guard." And he was like a guard. But you could tell he was like frustrated with the pick, but that man made all pro, so hey, it wasn't a bad pick. But anyway, yeah, shout out to Sheriff, man. Real beast. Thought he might ended up back in DC at some point. But it is what it is. Peace out.
Indeed. Good night. Good morning. You're welcome.